and welcome to the 57th edition of Marex Maritime News.
The way an Indian naval ship on duty in the Gulf of Oman assisted a UAE-flagged vessel recently augurs well for the diplomatic goodwill India aims to further in the region. On 11 March 2021, Indian naval ship INS Talwar, deployed for Operation Sankalp in the Gulf of Oman, received a distress call from a stranded cargo ship, the MV Nayan. The MV Nayan carried a full complement of Indian crew. The cargo ship on transit from UAE to Iraq was adrift since 9th March owing to failure of its propulsion, power generation machinery and navigational equipment. Based on preliminary aerial assessment about the situation on board MV Nayan, the Indian naval ship dispatched its visit, board, search and seizure team along with a technical team to offer assistance. The naval teams worked continuously for 7 hours on board Nayan to operationalize her equipment with both generators, steering pump, seawater pump, compressor and main engine, thereby making the vessel fully seaworthy again. In the backdrop of the prevailing maritime security situation in the Gulf region, Indian Navy had commenced maritime security operations named Operation Sankalp in the Gulf region on 19 June 2019 to ensure safe passage of Indian flag vessels transiting through the Straits of Hormuz. Indian Navy warships and aircraft continue to be deployed since then in the area. INS Talwar is presently deployed for Operation Sankalp in the Persian Gulf. Till date, since June 2019, 20 Indian warships have been deployed and 216 Indian flag vessels carrying 21.3 million tons of cargo have been provided safe passage.
These are the headlines on Monday, 15th March 2021. Recycling yard victims and their relatives can bring claims against shipowners. Singapore supports SEA's mandate to improve navigational safety. First, Women in Search and Rescue survey results launched. Do liners have a chance to break the vicious cycle? Future of bulk shipping could be modular. Marine Tankers has failed in its attempt to strike out a compensation claim brought by Hamida Begum, widow of a Bangladeshi recycler who died dismantling one of Marine's former ships. Justice Robert J. had ruled in July last year that the compensation claim for the death of recycler Khalil Mullah could proceed to trial at the UK's High Court. This is the first time such a claim has passed the necessary legal hurdles to go for trial. This affirms the victim and their relatives' right to bring compensation claims against the original owner of a vessel in case of death or injury caused during recycling.
The Indian subcontinent dominates the global shipbreaking industry with an estimated 70% global share. Shipbreaking industry is characterized by low technology and is very labor intensive. The labor employed in the shipbreaking yards in the Indian subcontinent are comparatively less well paid than their counterparts in other parts of the world. Recently, an interesting case has arisen when a British court has delivered a judgment that a widow of a worker who died in a fatal accident in a Bangladesh shipbreaking yard has a right to pursue a case of compensation against a former owner of the ship who happens to be registered in England in a British court. That has raised several questions among the industry. Does a shipowner still have a liability for his ship which has been sold to a third party for an incident which occurred when the ship was under the control of that third party? Second, does the British court have jurisdiction over an incident which happened in Bangladesh involving two parties who are not British residents or British subjects? Thirdly, what happens should a British court and a Bangladesh court give conflicting judgments. That said, it must be remembered that the world over the sentiment is that unsafe working conditions constitute a violation of basic human rights. The industry needs to take cognizance of the same before it is too late.
On 9th March, Singapore became the first country to ratify the Convention on the International Organization for Marine Aids to Navigation after it signed a treaty earlier on 1st March. Acceding the convention would support the International Association of Marine Aid to Navigation and Lighthouse Authorities (IALA) to become an intergovernmental organization.
The Convention on International Organization for Marine Aids to Navigation is a landmark convention for ILA as it talks about safety of navigation in ports, and marine aids are the DNA, like pilots, for the safety of ports, safety of navigation, safety of infrastructure, and needless to mention the safety of environment. You know, it goes back to 1926 when the first informal meeting was held of ILA in France. And now it has come to a stage that, you know, we have a convention of International Organization for Marine Aids to Navigation. And this will make ILA as an international body, and there the structured way of, you know, organizing marine aids to navigation will become mandatory for all the ports who are signing. Singapore has recently signed the protocol, which is a very welcome move. And of course, you know, on the 1st of March 2021, Singapore signed the protocol of convention, and this is a great step towards making ILA international body, international organization for marine aids to navigation. We at AMPA welcome this move and urge Indian government to view the merits and demerits of the convention to suit the Indian ports and navigation scenario, and go ahead with signatures if required.
And now, the news in detail.
The next step is now, definitely there has been some pressure on Indian jobs in one way or another.
To mark International Women's Day, the International Maritime Rescue Federation (IMRF) has revamped the results of the first survey to examine the representation of women across maritime search and rescue. The Women in SAR survey, which was supported by the Trinity House, attracted more than 1,600 participants from women and men in 48 different countries. The survey sought to explore the challenges and the barriers faced by women in the maritime SAR, along with their personal aims and their experiences on discrimination and factors affecting their recruitment and retention. For at least 3 decades, the container shipping industry has been locked in a recurring boom and bust loop. During times of strong macroeconomic growth, the shipping rates would soar, and container ship operators would reinvest their profits into new, ever larger vessels. Then the economy would slide into a downturn. Demands would plunge, rates could tumble, and ship operators would find themselves burdened with heavy debts and idle vessels. As overcapacity has kept a tight lid on the rates, the leverage would expand, revenues would fall, and ship operators would tumble into bankruptcy or stay out of court, thanks only to amend and extend agreements with their creditors. Is there any chance of breaking this vicious cycle?
There has been massive infusion of funds into container terminals in the past 3 decades. Even India increased their container terminal throughput capacity from a meager 5 million TEUs per annum to 25 million TEUs per annum as of today. But all that financial infusion has stopped now. The interest in increasing capacity or making more container terminals has waned. For container shipping, there is a boom in freight rates, and liner shipping wants to keep it that way. The long period of single digit and double digit freight is over. Average freight rates are all in 4 digits, and the shipping lines do not want to lose control. None of the shipping lines are showing any interest in starting new services. There is no need even if space is tight. Nobody is researching different routes to provide services. There doesn't seem to be any interest in increasing size of ships either. So who will suffer in this? Most of the container ships serving the liner trades are on charter from different ship owners. All the major container shipping operators or mainline operators, as they are called, have about 50% to 75% of container ships on charter. This means that when ships are not needed, they just return them to the original owner, who actually takes a beating. But this also means that a substantial amount of container ship tonnage is lying idle and ready to enter service whenever needed. Shipping lines would like this situation of high freight rates, no available space on ships, and nothing new in sight to continue. And the pandemic is helping them to some extent. It is due to the pandemic indeed that no new areas or routes are being explored. If space is limited, the partners in the liner consortium have not expressed any interest to increase the tonnage. No liner is asking for increased berthing windows at container terminals. Terminals are also happy because they are full of ships and ships waiting as well. This is evident in Singapore, Long Beach, Colombo, and even in the Red Sea ports. No one is complaining except the shipper who had been seeing freights in single digit and double digit and even negative freight for the past 10 years. Booms and busts in shipping are cyclical, but some booms and busts just stay longer. Freight rates stayed too low for too long. They have just regained their original levels, so obviously liner shipping will do all to keep it that way.
The global liner business has always been a crazy game. Either there's a boom or there's a bust. Whenever the economy picks up, business increases, the liner owners buy new ships, they buy new equipment, and then there's an oversupply. And then they do not want what to do, and they go on literally zero freight. But today the scenario seems to be very, very different. There's an acute box shortage globally. Apparently this pandemic has played a havoc. The boxes are just not available because there are boxes are staying on the seas, on the vessels, waiting for a much longer period. For every box that you require, there should be 2 boxes for every shipment. Now there are 3 to 4 boxes. And where are you going to get those? And also the vessel space, because the vessels are stranded. This is going to last for a long. And apparently this boom is going to be one of the longest. Will this boom burst? Nobody knows. Probably the answer is yes, because all the liners are going to go crazy. They want to earn cash on the market, and they feel it's going to last for a year or 2. But it appears that another 6 months to 1 year time, things may reverse. The COVID cure will come, and the liners will again see a difficult period. That's my take.
The general cargo trade were revolutionized by the container. But Stena Bulk has now unveiled a concept design for modular bulk carrier it believes would do the same for both dry as well as wet bulk trades. Stena Bulk has said that the vessel's modular cargo units would be designed to be totally self-sufficient in terms of their energy use, with wind turbines and solar panels generating all the electricity needed for their internal systems. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for watching. See you all next Monday.